G'day and welcome to my channel. In Australia, we're right at that hop picking season. I've got a plant out the back. I grow every year. I've been growing hops for, I can't remember, it was a few years before we moved here. Probably 15, 16, 17 years I've been growing hops for. I rarely use them in the brewery. It's got to do with timing, and summer we're often away and they don't get watered, but they still grow every year. It's just a big hassle for me to dry them and picking them. They're a lot of work. They're lovely things, but they're a lot of work, and you need to put a lot of time, effort and space into growing hops, drying hops, processing hops, all that sort of thing if you really want to do it. Mine, I just grow it for the fun. I like the look of them. I sometimes use a bit of fresh hop in a beer sometimes, but at the moment, most of mine are just about to go off on the vine, and I thought I'm going to make a Randall what I'm going to do is quickly grab my hop bong. I'm going to make a few modifications and we're going to run some beer through it. Fill it with hops and run some beer through it. Now this isn't something, especially this size, that you'd leave there for weeks. You'd probably put it up for an afternoon of beers, or you might get away with a day or two. But hops, and especially green hops, or fresh hops I should say, are going to give you that grassy thing really, really fast. So this is, and you don't want that hanging around with beer in it and all that vegetal matter. So it's something you just do for an afternoon or a day, whatever, something like that. So that's what I'm going to do here, and I'll quickly show you. Have a couple of nice, fresh beer that's been pumped through some fresh hops. Just something different. When these were released, these hop bongs, they were claimed to have all these different uses, but I never see people doing it. And even I don't do it, so I'm excited to give this a go. So what I'm going to do, of course, is take this all apart. Now, I'm not going to bother too much about sanitation for this. It's cold beer with alcohol. I'm going to keep this actually in the beer fridge. And as I said, it's only going to be used for a couple of hours. Then I can just unhook it and hook my taps back up like normal. Could you use pellets? You probably could try. You wouldn't want to pack it you wouldn't want to put much in because they swell a lot. How many particles would get through the screens I'm going to use, I don't know. But it's what you could try it. I've never tried it with pellets, but I'm not saying it wouldn't work. And it's not going to take you long to make. You've probably got the parts, or you might have to buy a couple cheap parts, and you could give it a go. The idea here is, one, I could probably block that off. I'm not going to even bother flushing this with CO2 when it starts. I'm not worried about oxidation. This is all happening, as I said, in a matter of hours. So I'm not too worried. That I could just cap off with, one of the PET, Coca-Cola type lids if you wanted to. I'm just going to leave it on probably for this. If you did want to flush with CO2 first, you might leave that on so you could put your gas through it. But it's going to have connections on both ends. Let me show you. So the normal fitting for the beer bong, it's not a beer bong, it's a hop bong, is that fitting there, or I should say that fitting there. Same thing, but this has just got a PRV screwed on the end. The idea here is we do that, have the hops in the middle, we put a quick disconnect on either end, and just pass beer through it. Now, try to stop some particles because they'll get caught in your taps and you'll get leaks and things, is these screens that you can purchase. And they act as a seal and a screen. So even though if you're pushing beer one way, you probably only need them on one end. But it's kind of a little bit of safety that you shouldn't have stuff going backwards anyway. But if you wanted just to be double sure, to put one on both ends so you don't have plant material that could possibly go back into your keg. I don't think that would happen, but anything's possible. Now, I tried to do this the other day. I couldn't find these. And I pulled this garage apart. I knew I had them and I couldn't find them. And then I remembered this morning that I'd been using these in my carbon filter for my spirits. So these are at the top end of a 2-inch stainless steel tube, and it was keeping my charcoal in it, so I could filter through it and it wouldn't all fall out the end. But while I couldn't find them, I did have another idea. So of course, the idea of this is to put a quick disconnect on the end like that. I have to hold it up here so it might stay in focus on. Alright, and you can just hook your beer up line from your keg to there, and then a tap on the other end. But because I couldn't find them, I was thinking, what can I do? I really wanted to do it. And I had a little idea. And although I didn't do it at the time, I ran out of time on that day, I thought if I hook a little bit of tube onto the end of that, and a little bit of tube onto one of these cages that we use on the floating dip tubes in Firmzillas and things, that would be the same. You don't need a little bit of tube, hook that on there, and it'll be in the end of that like that. And as I said, you only really need it on one end. Fill it up full of hops and use that as the filter. And this is actually finer. This would actually, it could possibly work even better. It will work better as a filter because it's finer. Now, the thing you do have to remember with this, you are going to get a bit of turbulence. You're pushing carbonated beer through. You're probably going to waste a bit. When you empty this, you're probably going to waste a bit. So it's just a bit of fun for a bit of freshness and something new. If you haven't had a beer like this, some pubs or bars do have them. I haven't seen them for a while, but they were a trend for a good period of time where you'd see them on the bar and they could fill them full of fruit. There was once even at James Squire that they had their IPA, one of their IPAs, one of the in-house ones that wasn't released in the bottle, I think. Or it might have been the old IPA that I don't think they do anymore. And they had it going through grapefruit. So they filled up this with grapefruit. And that's another thing you can do. It doesn't have to be hops in here. Their IPA going through grapefruit was pretty bloody good. I really enjoyed it. Again, you don't leave it there for days. You'd use it for an afternoon, maybe leave it there the next day, and then you'd either empty it out, get rid of it. You put fresh fruit in there or whatever the next day. But, you know, you're going to waste a little bit of beer. And as I said before, there's going to be a lot of turbulence. You're probably going to get a lot of foaming. It might be a little bit of a muck around. What I think I'm going to do, I have to have a look at what I've got here. I think I've got a mini tap, or I might even be able to just put on a flow control tap's going to be handy because you're probably going to get foaming. But keep in mind too that these little things won't block, won't stop all the particles. So you will get little bits of particles through probably, and they can get stuck in taps and places where you might not get a full seal just because it only takes the tiniest little grain. So it's just something to keep in mind. That's why you wouldn't leave it set up overnight probably, because you might not even notice that it's leaking, because it might be the tiniest of leak, and then you wake up in the morning and find out you've leaked a couple of litres. And that can happen even if you take the connectors off, because little bits of crud can get stuck in these. Like, I haven't had it in this situation, but even in my keg posts, I've had a little bit of crud and a slow leak and couldn't even see it. It was so small. Figure out what was there. It was the tiniest little hair. I don't know where it came from, but it didn't come from me. But yeah, so it's just something to keep in mind. This is a bit of fun for a bit of fresh flavour. You'll get some good things out of it. Like, I've just thought about that grapefruit one now, and I'm disappointed I haven't got any here to try. But in the future, that's what I'll do. Stop talking. So I'm going to use these because that's probably what most people will do. But yeah, the holes are much bigger than on these little cages. But the simplicity of it all, it's just too simple. All these things, hand tight and medium hand tight. You over tighten these things and you break them, and it's just not needed. You can leak check with CO2 or whatever, but as I said, this for me will be a couple of hours, and then I'll take it off and get rid of it. Fill it up again another day. All right, so that's that end. All I've got to do is put whatever I want in there. As I said, don't overfill it because things do expand and you need the beer to get through. It doesn't matter what colour quick disconnects you use because they're universal. Doesn't matter which is in and which is out if you've got a screen on both ends. Doesn't matter. This is a 2-inch one, and it's probably better for the hops because you need a bit of, especially my fresh whole hops, because if you're going to get any, you're not going to fit that many in. But there's no reason why you couldn't use a smaller one for other stuff. And pellets, if you wanted to try the pellets. I'm not going to put this on right now. I'm going to go out to the backyard and pick some hops. These are some of the older ones. I'm not going to use these older ones. I'm going to grab some of the fresher ones, which are a bit harder for you to see. They're on the ends of over there, and that's some of these ones are kind of fallen down. And don't be fooled by picking your hops too early. Like these ones are probably a little bit past it. But if you're picking them when they're really lush and green, most varieties, that's not when they're ready. They will start browning on the ends a little. But this isn't a hop discussion. I've started cutting mine down already. That's why there's not that much left here. I've been putting them in beers, and I just really didn't look after my plant this year. The way to know if hops are ready is not by visual. This is a tiny little thing. I don't even water them. Well, not this year anyway. I had some much bigger ones. The real way to know if they're ready is to use your nose. These ones look like they're past it. I'm actually going to use some of these smaller ones because they smell so good. That's how you know. Use your nose. One day the smell will just triple, double. It'll pop, and you'll wish you hadn't have picked them so early. These are very small. They're usually about 5 times, 6 times, or at least bigger than this, but they're smelling good and they're going in. These ones are smelling good too. They could even be a little young. They do come in sort of, I get 2 waves out of mine, an early batch and then sort of a secondary batch. These ones might still be a little bit young, but they're going in too. So that'll do for me. Hey, I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but you can see the lovely little pollen, for want of a better term, the lupulin, tongue-tied, coming out. My Venus flytraps went well this year. Alright, we are back. There it is there. Just going to put that on top. Screen. As I said, you probably only need the screen on one end, but remember, these are a form of plastic. Don't over tighten them. Alright, there you go. So of course, transfer line here to your keg. Line to a tap. That simple. Or I might even just click the tap on there. We'll see. Alright, this is my daughter recording, so we're going to see how this goes. This is going to foam up and make a whole lot of mess. It's coming straight from the keg here. And I've got a paper towel, but... Alright. Till the pressure equalises. Going to keep pushing beer in. I'll find out if I've got any leaks. Now I'll go and get the tap. Oh, sounds like I've got a leak, I think. Have I? Where am I? Oh, it's these seals aren't real flash. I'm going to get messy. Should have double checked. Alright, we might just, hang on, I'll fix that up. These things happen. It's definitely leaking still, that one seal, where for whatever reason. So it's going to make a mess here. The other end's fine. So there's something up at this end. Get a towel. Not mess around. Hang on. Alright. Get rid of that. Put a proper seal on there. Oh, that hop didn't go under it then, did it? And get that on there. I just got to remember the yellow end has got no screen. So I'll push the beer in the yellow end and out the red end. Yeah, there's something, I don't know whether it's because of this, but this fits way better than with that on there. Oh, there was just a chunk of that, of something on that seal then. I wonder if that's what it was. As I said, I've been using these in alcohol. Well, in another thing. So maybe it's disformed it or whatever. But I don't know. Although this still doesn't seem to fit quite the same as this other one. They're not all the same, these. Like they should function on all of them. But this one, you can probably see how skinny it is there. And this one's thicker. So they're different. And this one goes on, you don't even have to tighten it up much. But this one here, it's like it's nearly closed up and not sealing enough. I don't know. Anyway, let's go and try that again. Now I'm going to get a whole bunch of foam again. Just got to remember, beer in yellow, out red. Alright, this is, let me turn it off. Alright, this is going to, I probably should have got, oh, I'm going to use my glass. I emptied it on before. You can see the beer is going through. It's going to get a little bit foamy, I said that. If you're worried about oxidation and all that stuff, but I'm going to drink this straight away, so I'm not worried about it. Oops, I shouldn't have went full pour. Hang on, let me... Let me just go slow.
What are you doing, bro? Not bad.
No, fast is no good. Bit foamy. Oh, it's coming out. Alright, too fast again. Once you get beer all the way through them, it'll work a bit better. You can see there, it's like now it's nearly full. If you were happy to waste a lot, you could just pour a lot off and it'd probably get it happening quicker. Maybe. You're still going to get a bit of turbulence, of course. Beer tastes good though. Too fast. I keep mucking up by going too fast. I should probably lay it down so the beer at the top and not foam. I mean, yeah, you know what I mean. So the beer's up here. I'm confused. Too fast. Really bad pour, but here's the way I'm holding it and dropping it. I haven't got the glass held the right way. So what I might try to do, now it's sort of full, is just so I can get this, I'll take that off and I'll hook up my normal keg line to it, and we'll just try and place that in there like that, and we'll shut the fridge and we'll use the tap. We're still going to get foaming, of course. Alright, there's not much room up here, it's a bit bloody messy. Wasn't expected to be filming in here today. Coming closer. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be a bit foamy, especially at the start. Yeah. See, what I need is flow control on that. Let me just dump that. You got to remember the lines were warm, the hops were warm. You know, everything's warm, so it's going to foam until everything cools down. That's a better pour. Starts all right, and then it's getting foamy at the end. Oh, we'll try a bit later. We'll let it cool down and we'll come back and try. It's pouring much better. I don't know if you can see. It's pouring heaps better. I'll grab my daughter again. Right, so it's pouring great now. I only took, that was it, was the leak that was giving me those bubbles. So now I can pour virtually, still a little bit foamy, but of course as soon as I turn the camera on it's a little bit foamy. I just poured a perfect beer before. See, it was working better when I had it full of beer more. We were getting some breakout of CO2 there. So we knead it up like that. Bit of chocolate. Just to leave that end up a bit higher. So the beer, you know, so it's not getting bubbles in through the bottom. Alright, let's go. There we go. Perfect. And if you pan back, you can see we're still going through it. Come on, Hole. Down there. A little bit slow, Hole, but yes, we're still going through it. We're not leaking. We're just keeping that end bit under liquid. I haven't got much room in here to, you know, orient this a different way. And as I said, it's only here for an hour or two. Have a couple of beers, and then it's gone. I'm such an idiot. Even though that's pouring fine now, all I had to do was purge. I didn't purge it. What I mean by that is purge the airspace out of the top here. Turn it upside down, or up the right way, like that. And turn the tap on and get rid of that air gap at the top. I didn't do that second time. Even though I was still getting a nice pour then. But that would solve a lot of issues. I'm going to do that now, one-handed. My daughter's not here, but I'm going to hold it like that. I'm going to pour a beer up here, or pour the gas, which is going to spurt everywhere, which I just did, until you fill it fully up with liquid. So if you actually take your time to do that, you're still always going to get some nucleation and, or, you know, some breakout, but it'll be much better and pour much easier than what I was doing before. I just forgot to do it. I was in a rush. I could do it a touch more. I nearly got it all out. All right, that seemed like more effort than it actually was. This is that actual beer I just poured. You can tell because I accidentally grabbed my wife's glass. This is my wife's White Rabbit glass. Actually, that White Rabbit video will be coming out eventually. It's just taking a little bit of time. I wasn't sure I was happy with it. And I was waiting for my wife to try one. She doesn't drink that often. And she kept going, no, I want a lager. And she finally had one on the weekend and she went, wow, it's just like it. And she liked it. So now I'm confident of putting the video out. She's the connoisseur of White Rabbit. But this is the beer here that I just poured through the fresh hops. Sorry about the camera work. My 9-year-old daughter was on the camera. Look, it's not intense because there's not that much hops in there, but it's definitely a flavour. It'll probably come better if I leave that there for, you know, an hour and then pull a beer through it. But there's definitely more hop there than there was before. And as I said, if you do it with like grapefruit, fresh grapefruit, don't be using, this is going to come up in one of my spirits videos, but the reason people use dehydrated grapefruit in bars in Australia is because they see it from overseas. But a lot of these cocktails are coming from overseas because they don't have fresh fruit all the time. In Australia, we've got good climate and we can have pretty good access to fresh fruit. Use a fresh bit of grapefruit, not the dehydrated rubbish. I know it looks good. It's handy for bars because they don't have to have fresh fruit there and throwing stuff away at the end of the night. But if you use fresh, you're not getting anything benefit out of using dried fruit. Starting to rant. But Actually, this would be really great with a bit of grapefruit in there. You can mix and match too. Put a bit of grapefruit in there. And some hops. Cheers. It was supposed to be a quick video. It went a little bit longer than I wanted to. But take it easy. Of course, you can make it a little bit more fancy. A stand for it. Or set it up so a bit easier. You know, this was a throw together quick thing to do and a little bit of fun. Take care.